A long time ago in the land of Canaan, there lived a man named Isaac, the son of Abraham, and his wife Rebekah. They had 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was a man of the field, strong and hairy, a hunter who loved the wild. Jacob was quiet and gentle, dwelling among the tents. Their lives were different, and so were their hearts. Esau cared more for the present, but Jacob longed for the promises of God. One day Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of porridge, and later Jacob, with his mother's help, received his father's blessing meant for Esau. When Esau discovered this, his heart burned with anger, and he vowed to kill Jacob. Rebekah, hearing of his plan, told Jacob to flee to her brother Laban in Haran until Esau's anger passed. Jacob obeyed. He gathered his few things, kissed his parents goodbye, and began his long journey toward the east. The road was lonely and dusty. The sun burned by day, and the night winds were cold, yet Jacob walked on, his heart heavy but his hope alive. One night when the stars filled the sky, Jacob stopped to rest. He found a stone, placed it under his head, and slept. In his sleep he saw a dream. A ladder stretched from earth to heaven, and angels were going up and down on it. At the top stood the Lord, who said, "I am the Lord, the God of Abraham and Isaac. The land where you lie I will give to you and to your children. I am with you, and I will not leave you until I have done all I have promised." When Jacob awoke, he trembled and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." He took the stone he had used as a pillow, set it upright, poured oil on it, and named the place Bethel, which means house of God. Then he made a vow, saying, "If God will be with me and provide for me on this journey, then the Lord will be my God." Jacob continued on his way. Days passed, and finally he came to a field where there was a well. Around it lay 3 flocks of sheep, and the shepherds were waiting to water them. Jacob went to them and said, "My brothers, where are you from?" They replied, "We are from Haran." Jacob's heart lifted, for that was the land of his mother's people. He asked, "Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor?" They said, "We know him." Then Jacob asked, "Is he well?" They answered, "He is well, and look, his daughter Rachel is coming with the sheep." Jacob turned and saw her. She was walking toward the well, guiding her father's flock. The sun touched her face, and her eyes were bright and gentle. She was beautiful, not only in her appearance, but in her spirit. Jacob watched her, and something stirred in his heart. When Rachel reached the well, Jacob rolled the heavy stone away from its mouth, though it usually took several men to do so. He watered her sheep, showing kindness without words. He told her who he was, that he was Rebekah's son and her father's nephew. Rachel's eyes widened in surprise and joy. She ran home to tell her father, and Laban hurried out to meet Jacob. He embraced him, kissed him, and brought him into his home. Jacob stayed with them and helped with the flocks. After a month, Laban said to him, "Because you are my relative, should you serve me for nothing? Tell me what your wages should be." Now Laban had 2 daughters. The older was Leah, whose eyes were tender, and the younger was Rachel, who was lovely and graceful. Jacob loved Rachel. He said to Laban, "I will serve you 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter." Laban agreed, and Jacob began his service. The days turned into months, and the months into years, but Jacob's love for Rachel never faded. The Bible says, the 7 years seemed to him like only a few days because of his love for her. Each morning Jacob would rise early to tend the flocks, guiding them across the fields, guarding them from harm. When Rachel came to the well, he would watch her quietly, his heart full. Their love was pure, simple, and patient. They spoke often, shared laughter, and dreamed of their life together. At last the 7 years ended, and Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my time is completed and I want to marry her." Laban prepared a feast and gathered the people. There was music, food, and celebration. But when night came, Laban did something deceitful. He took Leah, his older daughter, and brought her to Jacob. The tent was dark, and Jacob did not see her face. He took her as his wife, thinking she was Rachel. When morning came, the light revealed the truth. It was Leah beside him. Shocked and hurt, Jacob went to Laban and said, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Why have you deceived me?" Laban answered, "It is not our custom to give the younger before the older. Finish this week with Leah, and then I will also give you Rachel, if you serve me another 7 years." Jacob's heart ached, yet his love for Rachel was stronger than his anger. He agreed. He spent the wedding week with Leah, and afterward, Laban gave him Rachel as his wife. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, and he served Laban another 7 years. Though the work was hard and the sun burned his skin, his heart was calm, for he was with the one he loved. But their life was not without pain. God saw that Leah was unloved, and he blessed her with children, while Rachel remained barren. Leah gave birth to sons, one after another, while Rachel watched in silence, her heart heavy with sorrow. She said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I will die." Jacob replied, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld children from you?" In her grief, Rachel gave her maid Bilhah to Jacob, saying, "Perhaps I can have children through her." Bilhah bore 2 sons, and Rachel named them Dan and Naphtali. Leah, not wanting to be left behind, gave her maid Zilpah to Jacob, and she too bore sons. Years passed, and the tents of Jacob were filled with the cries of children, yet Rachel still longed for her own. One day, God remembered her. He heard her prayers and opened her womb. She gave birth to a son and said, "God has taken away my shame." She named him Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add to me another son." Jacob's joy was great. He loved Joseph dearly, for he was the son of his old age and the child of Rachel, the one he had waited so long for. After many years, Jacob desired to return to his homeland. He said to Laban, "Send me on my way, so I may go back to my own country." Laban, who had grown rich because of Jacob's labor, was reluctant to let him go. But Jacob took his wives, his children, and all his possessions, and left secretly while Laban was away. When Laban heard of it, he pursued Jacob, but God appeared to Laban in a dream and warned him not to harm Jacob. When they met, they made peace and set a covenant between them. Jacob journeyed on. Time passed, and God blessed him greatly. He became the father of the 12 tribes of Israel through his sons with Leah, Rachel, and their maidservants. Yet Rachel's story did not end with Joseph. As they journeyed toward Ephrath, she became pregnant again, but her labor was hard, and she suffered greatly. As she neared death, she gave birth to another son and named him Benoni, which means son of my sorrow. But Jacob called him Benjamin, son of my right hand. Rachel died there, and Jacob's heart was broken. He buried her beside the road to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. He set up a pillar over her grave, and it stands there to this day. Jacob continued his journey, carrying Rachel's memory with him. Every time he looked at Joseph and Benjamin, he saw her face. Though her life was short, her love remained alive in him. Jacob never forgot the first day he saw her by the well, the sunlight in her hair, her gentle voice, her smile. Those 7 years of waiting, the pain of deceit, the joy of union, and the sorrow of parting, all became part of a story that spoke of love's endurance. In his old age, Jacob often sat by his tent and remembered. He would watch the sheep in the fields and think of the days in Haran. He would smile softly and whisper Rachel's name. When his time came to die, Jacob gathered his sons and blessed them. He spoke of the promises of God, the covenant given to Abraham and Isaac, and the land that would one day belong to their children. He told them of faith, patience, and love. And though his body grew weak, his heart remained strong, for he had seen the faithfulness of God. Jacob was laid to rest in the cave of Machpelah beside his fathers, but Rachel's tomb remained by the road, a reminder of love and loss, of beauty and devotion. Travelers passing by could still see the stone pillar and remember her story. The story of Jacob and Rachel is a story of love that waited, suffered, and endured. It reminds us that love is not always easy, that it is often tested by time and sorrow, but that true love remains steadfast. Jacob's years of labor seemed short because his heart was full. Rachel's tears were not forgotten, for God turned her sorrow into joy through her sons. From their union came Joseph, who would save his family during famine, and Benjamin, who would complete the tribes of Israel. Through them, God's plan continued, weaving love and promise into his great design. So when we think of Jacob and Rachel, we see more than just two people who loved each other. We see faith that waits, hope that endures, and a love that reflects the patience of God himself. Their story whispers across the ages, reminding us that what begins in tears can end in blessing. that what seems delayed is never forgotten by God, and that love, true faithful love, can outlive even death. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment about your thoughts and opinions on this story. Bye for now, and God bless you.